The AFC Wild Card race. You have my attention. We don't want to focus on one team or one game here because so much happened today that's going to have a ton of impact on how these playoff spots end up shaking out. The Steelers beat the Bengals, moves them to 7-4. The Browns lose to the Broncos, which drops Cleveland to 7-4. The Broncos are now 6-5 and very much in this thing. Huge win for you.
Huge.
This would be the funniest shit in the world. If you pick the Broncos to make the playoffs, they had that start to the season. We were laughing about it when they're getting 70 hung on them. Barnwell tweeted this today. They got 70 hung on them in that game against the Dolphins. I'm pretty sure they've given up 80 points since.
Hey, pride's a hell of a thing. It really is.
Shout
out to my preseason number 7 pick. Yeah, seed 7 pick.
That's really, really funny. So part of this, and we might as well throw this out now. It's like is it 70 points since then? Is that real? I'm probably misstating that at some point, but they're whatever. They've given up not many points since that happened. So maybe it's over the last like several games. I don't know what Barnwell was talking about. Oh, it's 80 during their 5-game win streak. Thank you very much, Beller. I'm sorry. I'm misreading Buddy's tweets in real time. My favorite thing about the Broncos, so the stat is absolutely wild. Their defense, while it was historically bad, it's been better. It's not great. Yeah. Okay. They're 25th in defensive success rate since that Dolphins game. They have added 53 EPA on opponent fumbles since week 4. 53. Okay. There is a bigger gap between them and the team at number 2, which is the Giants, than the Giants and the team in 28th.
That helps.
That is how much value that they have created on turnovers. However it's happening, okay, we can talk about this game specifically in a bit. They have put themselves in this conversation.
Yeah.
The Texans are 6-5. Texans offense is going to lift them in these moments. The Colts are 6-5, and the Bills now are 6-6. Where do you want to start? Which of these we just talked about the Texans a lot, okay? So which of these teams' non-Texans division do you find most intriguing on this list right now?
Oh, most intriguing. I would say the Broncos in their own weird, terrible, like just
all right. Let's lean into this. What about the Broncos?
Way? Because they have found their formula. I think on offense and defense. The defense, the stat I had looked up was since their mini bye, they had that Thursday night game against the Chiefs. So then they had about 10 days until their next game, and they're about league average success rate, but they're 5th in EPA per play and defensive EP per play. The Dolphins are 1st, by the way, Dolphins defense. So kind of what we're all seeing right now. But they've given up plenty of explosives.
The game they played on Friday night helps. Or the Friday afternoon helps.
Oh,
it helps a little bit.
Black Friday, indeed. But they're 7th in pressure rate. Like, so they're getting some stuff. Oh my God, they whacked DTR today. That was one of the
biggest hits I've seen in a long time.
That's
one of the hardest hits I've seen in a long time.
In
this era of football.
That was my first ever varsity experience with James Laurinaitis doing that exact same thing to me.
Caving your chest in?
That exact hit though, sprint out to the right. He had a full head of steam and that was it. That was it for my first experience on varsity. But I really think the run game's turned into a real strength, like in a weird way.
51.5% rushing success rate today against that Browns team that had been phenomenal in every facet on defense.
Chunk plays through the air and run the ball. That's how you have to beat that Browns defense. It's tough, but they can run with 3 guys. They have 3 legit backs that they can just pound the rock with, some different flavors with them as well. Kind of like bigger, and then very, very tiny, like kind of a funny little trio right there. But then they have their gadget player. They got Mims, kind of gives them a little juice in the run game as well. And then they have Cortland Sutton and Russ have a fun chemistry together. Like they can get some shot plays, and he's running. Like Russ is running the ball.
Russ is making today specifically. He made so many plays with his legs, whether it was plays off schedule or as a runner. Like him getting this little bit of juice back to be able to move around the field the way that he is.
No.
I did not expect this to happen. Right.
No.
I did not expect this version of him, even a diminished version of him, but something that resembled the guy we knew to be back this season in this capacity. And it's really given them a shot on offense.
It is. I mean, they're leaning into the read plays. Like they had a whole drive where they ran like 5 of them. He kept a couple. He had one where he they ran it like where they could flop it, and he ran like a nice play right up the left sideline. It was a zone read arc play, if you want the exact term, out of split back looks, if you want
that's like
everything
old, like
there.
Greg Roman, Colin Kaepernick shit.
That's exactly what it was. That's exactly it. Or Rich Rodriguez, West Virginia, if you want to go college right there. But
that's what they needed to do. That's what Nathaniel Hackett did wrong. He wasn't running the Pat White offense for Russ.
That's what it is. That was Owen Schmidt leaning up right up there on the sideline right there.
Anyone under the age of like 26 is just not having a good time right now.
They're headbutting some helmets right now. But he scrambled, but also like the little like Sutton had the big play early, or one of the first drives, and on that it's a man coverage look where the Russian fives. Schwartz likes to do that, and Russ is kind of quasi scrambling, writing in cursive. Like that's how I like to say in the pocket, it's just that's what he does. Like, honestly, if you look at the dots, it's just like it's writing cursive in the pocket, but it's kind of that Rodgers bounce around the pocket where he's buying that little bit of time for Sutton to just keep working. And then he hits the big play. It's like, this kind of works. Like this offense is working. Like they have big plays through the air and they pound the rock. They found something that really works for them. And I'm really, as I watch it, I'm like, seems sustainable again.
On the other side of that game, I'm pretty concerned about the Browns. For as good as the defense has played, Denzel Ward misses this game. You can tell that Denzel Ward misses this game. A couple different things. You bump Greg Newsome outside for stretches. He gets a PI. They're going after the backup corner. And then Myles Garrett, now who knows how long he's going to be out. I don't know if you saw that after the game. He was in the sling. He said he heard a pop. He continued to play through it over the rest of the game, but they start losing pieces like that from this defense. The offense has no shot right now. They have no shot. DTR comes out. PJ Walker comes in. As much as they want to scrape this thing together with gum and toothpicks and however else we try to describe these sorts of offenses, that's possible in a world where you have the 2020 Browns supporting cast, where Conklin's playing, where Wills is playing, where Nick Chubb is playing. You have this ability to move the ball in unconventional ways, even with a staff that I think is very creative and typically finds ways to survive. We've gotten to a place where even that doesn't seem feasible with the players that they have on that side.
No, I have zero critiques of what the Browns offense is trying to do. That put it that way. When I watched them against the Steelers last week and then watching them this week, there's nothing where I'm like, why don't you try this? It's like they're trying every answer they.
It's not like watching the Jets.
No, it's not. They are trying to be as creative, as gadget plays, as safe plays, as training wheels as possible. Even the drop back plays, or the like I said, the day one, or I said this a couple shows ago, but day one staple plays. But again, that's something DTR can read out. They're trying, but this is what their makeup is. The defense is fantastic, but if you can get run on now and games can keep that game script within reasonable measure the entire game, it's like, that's just too hard to, again, gum and toothpicks 20 points every single week.
So now with these teams kind of nipping at their heels, it really does seem like they might fall out. The Texans play the Broncos next week. Another one of those games that seemed like it would have been totally forgettable.
Yeah.
Even in week 3, where it'd been like,
Kubiak Bowl.
Texans, Broncos. And now it's a monstrous game in the AFC Wild Card race. So those two teams play each other. So one of them will fall to 6-6. One of them will go to 7-5. We'll see what happens with the Steelers and Broncos, or see what the Steelers and Browns. How do you feel about Pittsburgh right now?
I don't know. I was kind of they're such a weird
it's a perfect response. Like, I don't there's so much that is like the most pregnant laugh I've ever heard in my entire life. There's so much in that laugh and that pause.
God, like their offense, like again, their run game is trying to find answers, like whoever's calling plays right now. I want to compare them to Rogue from X-Men, where they kind of just every offense they touch every week, like the Steelers do, their offense, the Steelers offense steals a little bit, like steals a concept from here, steals a concept from there. Like today they stole a play from the Bengals, which I thought was hilarious because I could see Tomlin and the Steelers defensive coaches going like, hey, this play is good. And them going, yeah, let's install it this week. What else do we got? Because like the Najee Harris touchdown was again the Rams play that they took, which is like good. It's good stuff. Like once we talk about the Rams later in the show, but again, it's Allen Robinson as the power slot blocker. But this defense is just like frustrating at times. awesome at other times, like can absolutely maul you, and like you're just like, oh my god, no one could ever move the ball on this defense, and at times frustrating again, where you're just like they give up a huge play and you're like, what are you doing? And then the offense is the offense. They can't throw the ball consistently, and the run game is better. I will say the run game is better.
So this is the first game in the post Matt Canada era. We were going to talk about this at some point. We might as well do it now.
Yeah,
okay?
let's just do it now. It flows.
They had 400 yards. They hadn't had 400 yards in 50 something games. Congratulations. They had 400 yards. They still had a 39% success rate in this game. It's not like they were consistently moving the ball.
Yeah.
Their two biggest plays. Tell me if this shocks you, let me know. A go ball down the right sideline to Deontay Johnson.
No way. And what was the other one?
And then a slot fade to George Pickens down the left sideline. Those are their two big plays that they had in this game. I will say, adding Freiermuth back into the mix,
matters,
great call. Right? So he had 9 catches in this game, and that as an intermediate option as a receiver is something they really did not have without him in the lineup. And I think that led to them attacking areas of the field that they don't typically attack. Kenny Pickett was 12 of 15 for 134 yards on throws between the numbers today. Okay. Coming into this game, so we're in week 12, they had 113 attempts between the numbers the entire season.
Okay.
Which is the lowest in the league.
Easily. Yeah.
Easily the lowest in the league. Easily in the lowest in the league. And the one area where this was also a little bit different today, they had 9 play action dropbacks, which is the most that they have had in a single game all season. Now that Canada is gone, they had 61 of them. They have 61 of them all year.
I think
which ranks 31st in the NFL.
I think the first play was an under center play action to Freiermuth, or at least their first big play. But that's the play I think they stole from the Bengals. There was the pop pass, turn quarterback under center, turn power, fake the power, trap pass, whatever you want to call it. But just the tight end working over the middle. Burrow hits that a couple times now recently. So it's kind of funny that I know he's out now, but that you can see they took it from that offense. So I think the Freiermuth shout out, it's a great call because you can tell he trusts him working over working those stick routes. It's like, if you're going to use quick
route and he threw a seam ball, I was like, this is incredible. I've never seen this in this offense this year.
But if you're going to run quick game that much, you can't just threaten the outside. Running quick game is you have to threaten the middle. You have to threaten between the hashes, much less the numbers. So getting a tight end that is a good athlete, who does some nice things. So I think that's a great call. That at least gives him something. Joey Porter Jr. versus Jamar Chase, by the way, was fun. They had him shadowing him. So I wanted to watch more of that because that was interesting.
I don't know how much of the Bengals offense I'm going to be able to watch over the rest of the season. It's just going to make me too sad. Even watching it today, you tweeted it, which I knew you were going to notice this. 2 of the biggest plays they had on offense today were tipped balls that should have been intercepted that Jamar Chase caught.
One would have been pick six for sure because it was like full momentum going the other way.
The only thing that is worth mentioning about the Bengals, because I don't want this to become the discourse around them over the course of the rest of the year, where we just say, Joe Burrow's hurt, whatever.
Right.
This is a good opportunity to really kind of sit back and look at what kind of team this is as far as roster construction goes. Yeah. They're going to be picking a lot higher than they typically would. This is a tackle-laden class.
Yes.
You pick a tackle in the first round of this draft. Like I'm not living with this anymore. Okay. Jonah Williams, I know he was a first round pick. They bump him out to right tackle. You draft someone in this draft that you can just pop there at right tackle and have that be it. Hell, draft a guard in the second round. I don't care. Like, this is a moment where you can really be honest with yourself about what sort of personnel you have up there. And I think that they absolutely should. So that's a part of it. And their defense continues to struggle. The fact that the Steelers had their 400-yard game today, and that was the first one they've had in a while, their defense continues to struggle. So we're not going to bring it up all the time. They're not a team that I think is going to be relevant enough to discuss a lot over the next 2 months, but I don't want them to just get a pass just because Joe Burrow is not playing.
No, the other pieces got to step up. And I actually think Jake Browning runs the offense well enough that others can be assessed, if that makes sense. So like that, like as far as offensively. So again, like he's going to handle the pocket enough. So even the offensive line could get assessed that way. It's not just the Burrow magic running every single play, but no, I think that's a fair assessment of the defense. Cause I've just noticed, like, it's just what you can do in the run game against them has just been really shocking to me. And it just doesn't feel like they get enough big plays.
And over the middle of the field, teams have been cooking them. Tight ends have been cooking them.
Oh yeah.
Logan Wilson got burned, or he got called for PI in this game.
All
They
the
were
stuff,
attacking them.
all the over routes. Yes.
And that's the safeties too. It's the spine of the defense is what we were concerned about coming into the year with them losing both of those guys, and it has continued to be an issue. DJ Turner also had a rough game today. He got burned on the go route. Deontay Johnson roasted him for a touchdown that should have happened. He didn't control the ball to the ground. So just stuff to keep an eye on. The last thing that I don't know what to make of it, the Deontay Johnson non-effort on the fumble.
You see he tweeted about it too.
Kind of shocking. Yeah. He was just like, get him next time. Is that what he said when he tweeted? Yeah. I don't know what to make of that because the report came out that I think it was this morning. Adam Schefter said that there was the fight in the locker room between him and Minkah Fitzpatrick last week. So I don't know how much is brewing under the surface there, something to keep an eye on, but a little bit surprising when you consider what the strengths of this organization have been under Tomlin. And for the most part, they've been able to keep all of that stuff in house. We didn't hear a word about Antonio Brown for like 6 years.
That's the greatest coaching job ever, was Mike Tomlin keeping all that stuff under wraps.
Am I wrong?
No, you're not. It's just like how you said that was just like a great point of emphasis. It's like, we didn't hear about that. It's like, yeah, that's exactly true. And they're the fifth seed right now. It's not like they're like, like they have a losing record and they're falling apart. It's like, no, they're actually playing good ball.
I'm not gonna do the who can catch who and how's this gonna shake out, because it's just a losing battle. It's not worth putting that on tape on November 27th, because I'm gonna be wrong in 2 weeks. The last team we have not discussed as part of this conversation. How are you feeling about the Indianapolis Colts right now?
They're well coached. I'm feeling good. That defense.
Okay, all right. So is that it? Is it I got some good vibes around this team, or is this team can make the playoffs?
Good vibes, as opposed to I think they can make the playoffs. I think the defense is gettable, and I think it's Gardner Minshew. That'd be my but I do think they just
he was gottable a few different times today.
Yeah, they ran
multiple picks, couple dropped picks,
and they ran about 40 RPOs. Like every RPO you can think of, they ran today. And I mean, it worked. Like, smoke them if you got them. But it's that I just thought he's a reminder. It's like, oh yeah. But I do like what they're doing. I'm very Colts, 2 thumbs up what the Colts are doing right now. But if they make the playoffs, sure, why not? But I just think they're punching above their weight a little bit right now.
Yeah, I tend to agree. The offense has been, insanely watchable compared to what it could have been without Anthony Richardson and at this stage of their building process. So, that was them playing as well as they have, even though the underlying numbers are not as impressive as some of the big outputs that they've had. What they consistently do is interesting. It's fun. It's creative. Even the couple 4th downs that they had today, right? So you have Michael Pittman lined up close to the formation on a 4th and 1. They know they're in man coverage based on the motion that they run. And I think his guy was in the run fit. So he has to defend the run. Pittman sneaks out to the left, huge completion, big time, going for it on 4th and 1 near midfield. Again, design, coaching decision, points for Shane Steichen. Later in the game, another 4th and 1 near midfield. Heavy play action. Great ball handling by Gardner Minshew. Finds Mo Alley Cox for a huge play down.
Oh yeah, that was great.
So they're consistently doing that kind of stuff where you notice the play as you're either watching the game out of the corner of your eye or it flashes on red zone. It's like, oh, okay.
Yeah.
All right. That's kind of how I feel about them right now. That's where I sit with this team, even if I do feel like all of this is house money and they're still 1, 2, 3 steps away.
Yeah. And man, if they had, their top 5 draft pick quarterback right now, I'd be singing a probably totally different tune, maybe, but that matters when you're especially talking about the AFC playoffs and we're seeing who else is just looming right now. But again, I love all those examples that you brought up, because that's how it feels. It feels like, all right, yeah, they always come up like the Browns game a couple weeks ago. It's like, oh my God, they're just scoring again. Another big play. All right, here's Jonathan Taylor just running another touchdown. Oh, Zach Moss, sure, why not? Michael Pittman, another crosser for 7 yards. If you the king of the 8-yard game, Michael Pittman. But here's what I'll say. Every single guy within the offense is the best version of himself right now.
Michael Pittman, what they're getting out of Josh Downs. Think about the way this offensive line looked last year and the way this offensive line looks now. And that's all you want.
Yes.
With a new staff, especially an offensive-minded staff, where that's supposed to be his calling card when he comes in, all you want is to be getting the most out of the pieces you already had on the roster. And that's exactly what they are doing right now.
Yeah. How I feel about the Colts offense right now, really, but the thing is, it's like the same defense. Defensive coaches there. And they are playing inspired ball and playing good ball and playing like just again, their pieces make sense. But how I feel about the Ravens defense and the Colts offense is similar. Everyone's getting used to their fullest potential and getting used at exactly how they should be used. It's like that again. What is that? What is that? That's good coaching. And yeah, that's what the Colts have right now.
Colts remaining schedule. Beller put this into the little rundown. I think you did it for a reason. At Tennessee.
Okay.
At Jake Browning.
Okay.
Versus the Steelers.
Ooh.
At Atlanta.
Ooh.
Vegas. Texans.
Oh, those are some potentially juicy games.
I don't know. It's a weird situation with these teams all kind of muddled up here. So
but I'm not throwing them out. I am not saying this is fluky. That's the most important thing I think of all of this.
Absolutely not. I think again, the good vibes and the good feelings, it's just about whether it extends to them making the playoffs or them just being kind of a warm and fuzzy story.